What has been happening in the world of motocross? Well, quite a lot. Not all of it headline news, let's say, but we have a handful of injuries, some Motocross of Nations news. Yes, that's going to be coming in thick and fast now. We may as well rename this for MXoN update from here on out, and a couple of other items to get to. So let's get you caught up on all that has happened in the world of motocross over the last 7 days. Starting with injuries. We don't need to talk about it too much, but of course, prior to last weekend's race, it was announced that Jason Anderson will miss the remainder of the season, and therefore his Monster Energy Kawasaki career has come to an end prematurely. It is still rumoured that he will ride for Hep Suzuki next year, although that is not signed at the time of recording. But all signs certainly indicate that will play out. Also, interestingly, in Kawasaki news, Seth Hammaker revealed on press day that he is riding with a cracked tibular plateau, a minor tear in his meniscus, and an MCL sprain.
Yeah, I cracked my tibula plateau, and then minor tear in the meniscus, which is non-surgical, and then MCL sprain. So
that's quite a list to be battling through, and let alone to a season best result of 4th at Washougal. So full credit to him. I just wonder whether surgery or recovery will delay his 2026 preparation come the off-season, and in that case, is it wise to finish out the season? In MXGP injury news, all of the updates revolve around the Honda SR Moto Blues Motul squad, as Kevin Horgmo will miss the remainder of 2025 after crashing whilst cycling and rupturing a ligament in his thumb. What he's dealing with is skier's thumb. He tried to race with it in Finland, it didn't work, so he's now had surgery on that, and also he will have surgery on the shoulder that he dislocated earlier this year as well. So a lot going on in Horgmo's world, but he is of course trying to recover and prepare for a full assault on the 2026 MXGP series. He impressed earlier this year, so why not again? And his teammate Alberto Ferrato is in a much bleaker situation. He had a terrific Finland. From memory, I believe he went 7-7 in the motos, but what happened there is his knee, he was riding without an ACL, and his knee gave out once again. So he's now dealing with a torn ACL, torn meniscus, fractured tibia, and some other knee issues. And the problem is, he is trying to go private to get the surgery done. So he's actually set up a GoFundMe for the 15 to 20,000 euros that he's going to need to do that. It perhaps says a lot about the state of MXGP that a rider is fundraising for just 15 grand. But unfortunately, it's quite bleak at the back of the field, and unlike Horgmo, Ferrato does not have a deal for next year. So part of the reason of going private is the fact that there's some urgency to get fixed and find a contract. Of course, it will be harder to do that if he is just sat on the sidelines with a bum knee. But Ferrato's had a horrific 2 years, and besides maybe Fantic, I struggle to see where he could land for 2026. Ferrato being out potentially now opens the door for Antonio Caroli to race for Motocross of Nations. Andrea Adamo should be the MX2 rider, that's not even worth discussing. And then Mattia Guadagnini, Andrea Bonacorsi and Antonio Caroli are in the mix for the 450 slots. Andrea Bonacorsi has to be a lock, so it's between the Ducati teammates. Guadagnini's not been brilliant, he's been okay, I guess. Caroli could get in now, and if he does, he will race more Pro Motocross rounds to prepare, so keep an eye on that, as it's quite the domino effect with what happens from Ferrato getting injured to us having Caroli in America for longer. In more Monster Energy FIM Motocross of Nations news, I spoke to all of the Team USA candidates at Washougal. I started asking Chase Sexton about Team USA, and before I could get to the A, he interrupted me and said, I'm in. So Chase Sexton will race for Team USA. Hayden Deegan said it's in his plans. There's a lot to work out, but it's in his plans. So based on what he said and other information I have, I do believe that Hayden Deegan is in. And Eli Tomac told me that on the morning of Washougal, he told the AMA, yes, I'm in. Now, he said he had doubts after the way that Millville went, but Based on the Washougal performance, I'm thinking that Eli Tomac is now 100% in, as he told the AMA. So although it's not official, Chase Sexton, Hayden Deegan, Eli Tomac, that's my bet for Team USA based on public quotes that all of the riders have given. We have a Chile Motocross of Nations update before we get into more American news. Hardy Munoz, Benja Garib and Matias Pavez will represent Chile at the Motocross of Nations. You can bet that Munoz will be willing to bet it all on the line for his country. More American Motocross of Nations news. It was announced this morning that America will host the Motocross of Nations in 2028, as we knew, and now 2031. So, this year Ironman, next year Ernée in France, the year after Assen, the Netherlands, and then 2028, the United States at an undisclosed venue, but all rumours hint that 2028 will be Ironman once again. I heard that as far back as Matterley last year, so I think that's the plan as long as this year goes well. 2031? Who knows? Hopefully, then at least it's 6 years away, but hopefully at that point we can have another new venue rather than recycling Redbud or Ironman at that point. So the next open slot for the nations is 2029, which, fair to bet that will be Matterley Basin again. We are on a cycle. It's quite easy to figure out the pattern of these events. Perhaps that would be the safe bet. A couple of other news and notes. Cole Davies will race the AusX Open as a wild card in front of his semi-home crowd. Of course, not Australian, but not a million miles from New Zealand. But Oceania fans will claim him as their own, I'm sure, no matter where they are from. On to Lockett then. Yes, no Pro Motocross round this weekend, but there is the Grand Prix of Czechia at Lockett, and the championship fight is heating up. Lucas Kuhnen is only 15 points down now, and Kai de Wolf has taken a considerable chunk out of Simon Lagenfelder's lead. So plenty to watch and look out for. No Jeffrey Hurlings, no Tim Geiser, no Pauls Jonas. All of those riders should return at Sweden, I would presume. That's at least the information that I'm getting. So none of those names, but still a healthy lineup. Lockett is always well attended. There should be full gates in both classes, and that is something to look forward to and watch this weekend. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Hub. Quite a lot in here, not all of it headline news, as I said off the top, but I feel like there's a lot to take from this week in the world of motocross.